Imagine a land ablaze. For 2 centuries, 7 kingdoms clashed in China. Welcome to Cryptic Mystic Vault, where we explore the enigmatic tales and unsolved puzzles of history. This was the Warring States period, an era of unending conflict and upheaval. From 475 to 221 BC, the states of Qi, Chu, Yan, Han, Zhao, Wei, and Qin battled for supremacy. Each craved dominance, their ambitions fueled by dreams of power. Among these warring kingdoms, Qin was initially seen as a remote and barbaric entity. Positioned in the westernmost part of China, they were considered a periphery force. Their rugged terrain and fierce warriors made them a formidable adversary. One key advantage Qin held was its embrace of legalism. This philosophy emphasized strict laws, harsh punishments, and absolute obedience to the state. This pragmatic approach to governance, coupled with strategic reforms and military innovation, allowed Qin to amass strength. As the other kingdoms exhausted themselves in endless skirmishes, Qin remained focused on the ultimate prize, the unification of China. The transformation of Qin from a peripheral state to a dominant power was a testament to its ruler's ambition and the efficacy of legalist principles. Key to this ascent was Duke Xiao of Qin, a shrewd ruler who implemented sweeping reforms in the 4th century BC. Recognizing the importance of attracting talent, he opened Qin's borders to scholars, officials, and advisors from other states. He offered them land, titles, and positions of authority, enticing them with the promise of influence and prosperity. His reforms extended to agriculture, military organization, and infrastructure. These changes resulted in a surge in Qin's population, wealth, and military might, laying the foundation for its future conquests. By the time Yingzheng, the future Qin Shi Huang, was born in 259 BC, the state of Qin was already a dominant power. Yingzheng inherited a formidable military machine and a centralized state apparatus, poised to make a decisive bid for supremacy. Yingzheng ascended to the Qin throne at the tender age of 13. Though young, he possessed a keen intellect and an iron will, determined to complete his ancestors' unfinished task, the conquest of the remaining 6 kingdoms. His reign began with a period of consolidation of power, quelling internal dissent and outmaneuvering rivals within the Qin court. Once his authority was secured, he unleashed the full might of the Qin army upon his enemies, employing a combination of ruthlessness and strategic brilliance. The subjugation of the 6 kingdoms was a brutal but swift affair. Han, Zhao, Wei, Chu, Yan, and finally Qi fell in quick succession. By 221 BC, at the age of 38, Yingzheng had achieved what no ruler before him had managed, the unification of China under a single emperor. He proclaimed himself Qin Shi Huang, marking the beginning of a new era in Chinese history. With China unified, Qin Shi Huang embarked on a series of sweeping reforms aimed at consolidating his power and creating a homogeneous empire. He abolished feudalism, stripping regional lords of their power and dividing the empire into centrally controlled provinces. He implemented a standardized legal code, abolished regional currencies in favor of a unified coinage, and established uniform weights and measures. To facilitate trade and communication, he ordered the construction of a vast network of roads and canals. He further standardized the writing system, making it uniform throughout the empire. This facilitated communication and administration, but it also served to suppress regional identities and consolidate his own power. Qin Shi Huang's rule was also marked by a brutal intolerance of dissent. Scholars who dared to criticize his rule or advocate for alternative philosophies were persecuted. Qin Shi Huang's reign was not solely defined by his iron-fisted rule. He envisioned a China united not just politically, but also physically, protected by formidable defenses and interconnected by a network of roads and canals. His most ambitious project was undoubtedly the Great Wall. While earlier versions existed, Qin Shi Huang ordered their connection and expansion, creating a colossal barrier meant to protect his empire from nomadic invaders from the north. The construction of the wall was a monumental undertaking, requiring the labor of hundreds of thousands of workers, many of whom perished during its construction. His quest for immortality became an all-consuming obsession. He ingested various concoctions containing mercury, believing them to be the key to eternal life. In 210 BC, after a reign of 36 years, Qin Shi Huang died while on a tour of his empire, likely from mercury poisoning. His death, shrouded in secrecy, triggered a power struggle that would quickly unravel his meticulously constructed empire. Within a few years of his death, the Qin dynasty collapsed, consumed by rebellion and civil war. Despite its short lifespan, the Qin dynasty left an indelible mark on China. Qin Shi Huang's brutal unification paved the way for 2 millennia of imperial rule. His standardization of weights, measures, currency, and writing facilitated trade, communication, and cultural exchange. Yet his legacy remains deeply contested. He is remembered as a ruthless tyrant, responsible for the deaths of millions and the suppression of intellectual freedom. Imagine a world where Qin Shi Huang's unification of China never occurred. The fragmented states might have continued their endless wars, preventing the rise of a centralized Chinese culture and delaying technological advancements. The Great Wall, a symbol of Chinese strength, might never have been built, leaving the northern borders vulnerable to invasions. The lack of a unified China could have altered the course of the Silk Road, impacting global trade routes and cultural exchanges. The ripple effects of a divided China would have reshaped the geopolitical landscape of Asia and beyond. In this alternate reality, the rich tapestry of Chinese civilization as we know it might never have woven itself so intricately. The philosophies of Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism might have evolved differently, without a unified state to propagate or suppress them. The arts, sciences, and literature that flourished under successive dynasties could have taken entirely different paths. Picture a world where the vast network of roads and canals, which facilitated communication and commerce, remained a patchwork of disjointed efforts. The lack of a common language and currency might have stifled economic growth and hindered the spread of ideas. The grand narratives of Chinese history, from the epic tales of the Han dynasty to the cultural renaissance of the Tang, might never have come to be. The absence of Qin Shi Huang's unification would not only have altered China's destiny, but also the world's. The Silk Road, a crucial artery of ancient trade, might have taken a different shape, influencing the flow of goods, knowledge, and cultures between East and West. The ripple effects of a divided China would have reverberated across continents, changing the course of human history in ways we can only speculate. As we reflect on Qin Shi Huang's legacy, we must acknowledge the profound impact of his unification, both the triumphs and the tragedies. His reign was a turning point that set the stage for the future of China and the world. And while his methods were often brutal, the world we live in today has been undeniably shaped by his vision of a unified empire. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more explorations into the symbols that shape our world.